Welcome, I'm the Kaiju no Kami here at Denver Comic Con 2017. I'm here with author Sue Duff. Welcome once again. It's been a year since we last talked. Have you been busy?
Oh my gosh, I have been so busy. I put out 2 new books, one continuing in my 5-book series. Book number 4 came out in February. And then I also write for Wicked Ink Books, and our next anthology came out in April. So a lot of writing and publishing and all kinds of stuff going on this year.
So first, for the book that's the series where it was number 4, you're supposed to take like 20 years to release it, right?
Luckily, I'm not that kind of writer.
And what was this series about, for those that might not know?
It's called The Weir Chronicles. Fade to Black is the first book, and that starts out with my protagonist, Ian Black. He's an illusionist that has magical powers on top of the tricks that he already knows how to do. He hails from the Weir. They're a magical race of beings that have, for centuries, thousands of years in fact, have kept the energies of Earth in harmony. And when the book and the series starts, it's modern day Earth and their race is dying out. And so natural disasters are starting to take over the planet. And in a last ditch effort, when Ian was born and was not born with all the combined powers that was prophesized to save the Earth, the Weir turned to science to try to perpetuate themselves. And when they start messing with their magic DNA, then they really screw things up. So Ian ends up throughout the series having to find a way to undo the damage that his people have done in their last-ditch efforts to try to save Earth and themselves. And on top of that, find a way to save Earth himself, because he was born with the tools he needed.
And does he have to face any villains that are trying to stop him for this?
Oh yeah, there's actually, you've come to find out in the first book that there's actually some very evil Weir that are behind why this has happened and why Earth is self-destructing at the fast rate that it is. So those he eventually finds out are his ultimate enemies.
Sounds great for those who also love a good villain, because I know I do.
Oh yes, and they really they're pretty villainous. I've had some fans say, I just hate so-and-so, and so I know I'm doing my job well.
That's great, because you should hate a villain as much as you love them. And do you find it easier to write a villain compared to a hero? Do you get to have more fun with the villain?
It's funny that you say that, because in a way all my characters have a little bit of me, including I think the villain. It's just that I can find a way to exercise those villainous feelings in ways that don't get me incarcerated.
And now tell us about the new anthology that you just started.
Yeah, the newest anthology is called Offbeat, 9 Spins on Song. And it's the Wicked Ink group, plus we have 2 new authors that have contributed that we invited in. And it's just great because we chose a song and then wrote a short story based on somehow an inspiration from that song. My story in Offbeat is I chose Manic Monday, and it ended up being a serial killer from the future that was banished back to New York in 2020, and she's compelled to kill after the stroke of midnight every Monday, and so she finds a way to somehow survive.
Sounds like an interesting take on a Jack the Ripper-esque story.
Very much so.
So I'm assuming then she's the villain of the story?
Actually, she's the heroine.
Interesting. That sounds pretty cool. And so how many books are you planning for this one?
Well, it's whatever inspires us as the Wicked Ink, group of authors. Our next one is we're planning for that one to come out a year from now, around 1st of October, because it's going to have a Halloween theme. So a lot of dark and death kind of stuff is going to be a part of that one.
That sounds cool. Have you found it challenging to write two anthology aspects at one time?
Not so much, because anthologies are just those short stories, and I find I can whip those out pretty well once I have a theme and I'm inspired by it. But my novels take a lot longer, still, several weeks or a few months. So, but I'm very excited about the last one coming up in my Weird Chronicles series. It'll come out in January of 2018. And I kind of have bittersweet feelings about that because I've spent so much time and years with these characters in this world that I've built that it's going to be a little hard to say goodbye to them. But at the same time, I'm anxious to have that closure to this big story arc through the set of books, and give some sense of satisfaction to the fans as well.
Yeah, I'm sure the fans will be happy to have it all over, and yet then they'll cry, why isn't there going to be more?
I can probably be enticed to write little vignettes and short stories about some of my more favorite characters, depending on the outpouring of interest that comes from the fans.
So no misery situations.
Well, I can't say that everybody survives this last book, so we'll have to see what happens after that.
So moving forward, what would you say to anyone that's out there that's unsure if they want to get into writing because they're afraid of being made fun of?
It's criticism can be a positive thing. If you don't allow it to be negative, there's a part of you that, with criticism, it helps you to grow. And if somebody disagrees with what you feel is important, then that's fine. But if they can give you some real effective criticism about critiquing about your writing and helping you to be a better writer, that's all part of being a writer. And you shouldn't shy away from that. You should embrace what kind of help and support you can get. And there's a lot of wonderful supportive writer groups out there, critique groups. And if you have a bad experience with one, just try another one, because not all of them are alike. And you'll find one that's nurturing and supportive, but also can give you some effective critiquing at the same time.
So they should pretty much ignore internet comments that are like, this sucks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just a given. I had, 5-star ratings on Amazon, and I had 1s and 2s. And I looked at the 1s and the 2s, and I wanted to see what was so negative in their mind. And there was a few things that were valid points, after the first book. And so I made some adjustments after that, and sure enough, I didn't get the 1s and the 2s from the second book on. So, you can be effective, and it can be helpful because, it's really the reader that you want to satisfy, not just your own need to tell this story, but we're writing for people out there to give them enjoyment and give them a good ride in your storytelling. And that's something that I think anybody can do if they're open to also listening to feedback.
So on that subject, have you had to find a balance between then if you see a review of what people love, but then you see a negative review, and then it comes down to, well, how can I fix what the negatives were without making mad the people that had the positives?
Well, and again, I think you have to decide, does that person just not like your genre or your style of writing? It depends on what the critiquing is. There's, millions of writers out there, authors and published works. They can find somebody else that they truly enjoy. If you're hitting the masses for the most part and writing something that they enjoy and you're writing it the way you really want to, then you don't necessarily need to give that up. So I think it depends on the type of feedback that you get from those negative reviews as to whether or not you're going to adopt them, or it's just my writing is not what you're looking for, and it's easy enough to find other ones for you too.
Sounds great. Where can people find you on social media?
My website has all the links to Facebook, Twitter, all of my different sites, and my website is Sue Duff, all one word, SUEDUFF.com.
And do you also have a Twitter account or anything?
Yep, and the Twitter account and my Facebook sites are all off of my website. But you can go directly to my Facebook. It's Sue Duff Writer, and my Twitter is Sue Duff 55.
Do you have any final words for my viewers?
You know, just enjoy reading, and if you want to be a writer, then write. And whether or not you choose to keep it to yourself for years, or if you truly have this ambition for yourself, don't hesitate to go out there and look for other, writer group, critique groups, go to conventions, take trainings and attend presentations, because that's what I did when I decided this was a passion I was finally ready to pursue. And it pays off, and it's just incredibly satisfying.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Until next time, bye.